Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go!
I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
Levi and Ivy ran into their living room after breakfast one Saturday morning, excited to play a video game together. They loved video games and loved playing them after a tasty Saturday morning breakfast of pancakes and bacon. "Which game should we play today?" asked Ivy as she jumped onto the couch and grabbed her favorite red game controller. "I think we should pick a category first, and then we can pick a game," suggested Levi, sitting on his rocking gamer chair on the floor just in front of the couch. "Do we want an epic adventure game, a sports game, or something silly?" "Maybe a little virtual reality thrown into the mix?" asked Ivy. But as the two looked through their games, they couldn't figure out what they wanted to play. It seemed they had played all the games they had so many times that they just weren't that appealing anymore. Running through the same levels over and over again, pretending to be the same soccer players and saving the same kingdoms from dangers just didn't have the same excitement that it usually did. "Aw, man, we need some new games," muttered Ivy as she tossed different game cartridges out of the video game basket that sat under the TV. "You're right. These games are too old and we've played them like a bazillion times," added Levi. "They're kind of boring." "Boring?" rang out a voice from the kitchen. "Did you say your video games are boring?" The voice was coming from their dad, who was just making his way into the living room. "You wanted this game more than anything for your last birthday," said Levi and Ivy's dad, holding up the latest soccer Nintendo game and then grabbing another. "And this one you said you would trade candy for all year just to get. Now they're all too boring? I don't believe what I'm hearing." Levi and Ivy realized what they were saying was a bit much and quickly corrected themselves. "I mean, we really appreciate the games, Dad, we do. It's just that they aren't as exciting as they were when we first got them because we played them so much," said Levi. "But we know what would help with this problem," added Ivy with a big smile. "How about you and Mom just get us some new video games?" "New games?" said their dad. "Just like that." "Well, yeah, isn't that how it works?" Levi began. "We ask you for new video games and you guys go and buy them." At this point, Levi and Ivy's mom had been listening from the doorway to the living room. "Nope, that is definitely not how it works," she said with a laugh. "Those video games are expensive and we can't just buy you one every time you ask." Just as Levi and Ivy were looking down and upset, knowing they weren't getting a new game that day, their dad turned on the TV. And right there on the screen was the best video game they had ever seen, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Levi and Ivy just stared without speaking as they watched the commercial. It was amazing, and they had never wanted a video game more. Well, except, I guess, for the last one they had asked for. "Please, please, 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 Mom and Dad," pleaded Levi. "This will be the last video game we ever ask you for. We promise." Yes, please buy a Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and we'll never ask for another video game ever again," added Ivy. Levi and Ivy's parents looked at each other and nodded yes, much to the surprise of their kids. "What? What? You're really going to buy the game for us?" exclaimed Levi with joy. "Oh, absolutely," said his parents together with big smiles. "For Christmas." "Christmas?" Levi and Ivy shouted. "That's way too long of a wait." "There has to be something we can do," said Levi and Ivy. "I know, we need that game now," Ivy added. Their parents watched as the kids tried to figure out a plan to get their hands on that video game sooner than later. "We will let you think about it and see what you come up with," said Levi and Ivy's mom before she and their dad headed back to the kitchen, leaving their kids alone to hatch a plan. After talking for a little bit, Ivy blurted out, "I wish we had money and could just buy it ourselves." "Yeah, that would be great. But how would we get money?" asked Levi. Ivy sat silently for a minute before she said, "Some of my friends get money from their parents for doing chores." "Ugh, chores? Not even if you paid me would I take out the trash," said Levi, sticking out his tongue. "How about for that video game?" asked Ivy. "Would you take out the trash then?" Levi saw what she was getting at, but he really hoped there was another way. How about a lemonade stand? Suggested Levi. No stinky trash to take out, just sweet, tasty lemonade and thirsty customers happy to give us money for a cup. Ivy loved the idea and they immediately went to their parents. Mom, Dad, we have a plan, Levi started. If we are able to raise the money ourselves, can we get Super Mario Bros. Wonder on our own before Christmas? Their parents sat there at the table with very proud smiles on their faces. Absolutely, they both said. What's your plan? Asked their mom. That's when Levi and Ivy told her all about their idea for a lemonade stand, and since it was summertime, they figured one hot afternoon and they'd be playing that game in no time. Sounds like a great idea, said their dad. I'm really happy you want to try and do this by yourself. Earning the money by working hard will make playing that game so much more satisfying. And you'll see just how much hard work goes into making money, added their mom. I'm happy to get the supplies for you two. Then you can make up some lemonade and head outside, said their dad. Levi and Ivy high-fived each other as they ran to get dressed and put together their lemonade stand in their front yard. Their dad headed to the grocery store for supplies while they worked, and after lunch, their lemonade stand was open for business. Cold lemonade! Get your ice-cold lemonade, shouted Levi. Just $2 a cup for the best lemonade on the block, called out Ivy. Well, actually, it's the only lemonade on the block, said Levi with a giggle. Even better. That's how we know for sure it's the best, said Ivy confidently. They sat there at their stand waiting for crowds of people to stop by and buy all their tasty lemonade. However, that didn't happen. They called out to passing cars and neighbors walking their dogs, but only a few stopped, and after about 2 hours of sitting in the sun, they had made about $6. At this rate, Christmas will be here and gone before we make enough money to get that video game ourselves, said Levi, sounding discouraged. This is hard work. I think we should consider trying my first idea, Levi, began Ivy. You know, Mom and Dad are always asking for help around the house. Maybe they'll pay us a little bit if we chip in. Levi let out a big sigh and reluctantly gave a less than enthusiastic, okay, before he started to help Ivy clean up the lemonade stand. Once inside, Levi and Ivy told their parents about their idea to do more than just sell cold lemonade. We thought we could do some extra chores around the house for a little extra money, said Ivy. Does that sound okay? Levi and Ivy's parents could see that their kids were really serious about earning their own money and were very happy to help. That would be great, said their dad. Let's make up a list of chores and see how much you think each one is worth. Sounds good to me, said Ivy. What about you, Levi? Yeah, I guess so, muttered Levi, grabbing a piece of paper and a pen to make the list. The extra chores list consisted of cleaning the playroom, weeding the garden, helping to clean the pool, which meant vacuuming and cleaning out the filter, doing the dishes, clearing the table after dinner, and putting out the trash. This looks like a great list, said Levi and Ivy's mom. Now, how much should we pay you for each one? They assigned $1 to $2 values for almost all the chores until they got to taking out the trash. I'd like to suggest this chore is worth $60, said Levi with a giggle. That seems like a little bit of a jump from the other chore values, laughed Levi's dad. And if I'm remembering correctly, that's exactly the cost of that video game that you want. Oh, is it? I didn't even realize, giggled Levi. Okay, I guess it can be $2. That sounds a little better, said Levi's mom. The next day was the beginning of their extra chores, and Levi and Ivy were taking it very seriously. They were helping each other out to get the chores done well and quickly so they had time for more chores and to set up their lemonade stand again. You're both doing a great job, said Levi's dad as he helped him vacuum the pool. This is a big job, and we'll get it done in half the time because we're working together. Yeah, this is a big job. I never realized that, said Ivy. I just want to tell you thanks, Dad. I know you always do this by yourself, and now I see how much time and effort it takes to keep the pool clean for us to swim in. Ivy's dad felt such a sense of pride knowing that his kids were beginning to understand what hard work was all about, and now with their extra chore list, they were starting to learn the value of $1 as well. Wow, Eric, you're one lucky guy to have such good helpers by your side, said Levi and Ivy's neighbor, Mr. Roy. I could use some help planting some flowers around my mailbox. Do you think Levi and Ivy would be interested in helping me for, say, $5? Levi and Ivy heard the whole conversation and jumped at the chance. They were so surprised that the neighbors were interested in having them help with chores as well. And without even thinking of their quest for a new video game, Levi and Ivy said yes immediately. That sounds like fun, said Levi. I love planting. Me too, echoed Ivy. I'll go get our gardening gloves. And since they were all done helping their dad with the pool cleaning, they were free to head over and help Mr. Roy. Once the other neighbors saw that Levi and Ivy were happy to help with small jobs, they were getting requests left and right. Dog walking, plant watering, and running errands were all on the to-do list for Levi and Ivy that day. And when they were all done, they opened their lemonade stand for all their thirsty, hardworking neighbors. And what happened next made their parents see how great this lesson was for their kids. "Attention, everyone!" Ivy called out. "The lemonade is free today because we all worked so hard." "Yes, please come over and grab a cup. On us," added Levi, raising a glass to Ivy. "We are really doing a great job. It feels so nice to help others, and getting to use the money we're making to buy something we really want makes it all the better." Their parents could not have been happier with the skills that Levi and Ivy were learning. They weren't just building a strong work ethic and learning the value of money, but they were also learning to be responsible and compassionate to others. Days turned into weeks, and before they knew it, Levi and Ivy had more money than they needed to buy the new Super Mario Bros. Wonder video game. They actually had enough money a week before, but they were so excited to keep helping neighbors and growing their lemonade business that they weren't even keeping track anymore. But that night after dinner, their parents wanted to make sure they were rewarded for all their hard work and made them count out their money. Levi and Ivy were overwhelmed with the feeling of accomplishment they had when they realized that they had earned more than they needed. "This is incredible," they shouted. "I think we should go to the store tomorrow and let you pick up that game," said Levi and Ivy's dad. "Your mom and I are just so proud of you. And trust me, once you sit down for a well-deserved rest and play that game, it will feel so much better than if we had just bought it for you." Levi and Ivy looked at each other with a glimmer in their eyes. They felt proud and accomplished and were ready to play Wonder. The next day was Saturday, and after a special pancake breakfast, they went to the store and bought the game. So excited to walk up to the cashier themselves and count out their own money to pay. When they got home, they opened the wrapper, put the game in the Nintendo system, and played all afternoon. "You two can play as long as you want today," said their mom. "You really deserve it." And at that moment, Levi and Ivy knew she was right. They also had a whole new appreciation for how much their parents did for them and all the things they bought them. Working hard for your money and spending it on other people is something really special, and something Levi and Ivy found that they were really enjoyed doing. It was also something that Levi and Ivy wanted to do more of. So while they did use some of the money they earned to buy their video game, they took the rest of it and bought more lemonade supplies. Then they went to the park on Sundays and provided free lemonade for anyone who wanted it. They continued doing extra chores around their house and neighborhood to buy other things that they wanted, but also to keep being able to buy supplies for Levi and Ivy's frosty-free lemonade stand, as it came to be known around town. Who knew that a video game could teach the two of them such an amazing lesson? One about determination and the pride that comes from working hard to get what you want. Want to start a podcast? Spotify has an easy, free platform called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Record and edit your podcast on your phone or computer with ease. Share your podcast on Spotify and all other major platforms. You can even make video podcasts on Spotify. If you want to engage with your audience more, use Q&A and polls. You can earn money through ads and podcast subscriptions. It's completely free, no hidden cost. Give it a try. Visit www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. We love making our podcast, and working with Spotify has been amazing. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun, Lively Lewis story with you.